So now I'm going to welcome all of you. How about that? Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Charlotte. We are the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. Today, I have some great stuff in store for us. One of them is the title, Free Metabolic Load. So we're going to start now with a short centering. So we're going to relax our eyes by looking into our lap or closing them if we choose. Now, when we breathe in really deeply and we take that breath, it's going to take us really into a relaxed space. So let's go there. Because you need that in order to hear that beautiful song we just heard, This Too Shall Pass. Everything passes, be it good or bad. So before we talk about free metabolic load, I invite you into the simple truth. The first words of that song when she sang, nothing we carry stays forever. This too shall pass. Even the toughest pain in our life lives, but it eventually softens and it releases and it passes the same way that night passes into the day or the morning. So this song is here to remind us that what feels tight today, heavy or overwhelming, it fades in the body eventually. So what the nervous system holds, we can free it. But all we got to do is remember to free metabolic load. So whatever the oneness with spirit has and holds, and whatever it has been carrying, it can be released. So let that song remind you to release and stop carrying what no longer serves you. So what we're sharing here is something we value deeply, and I simply allow anyone who feels fed by it to actually support it. Our community flows and it is sustained through your generous givings. So thank you for your part in your giving. And because with that energy, let's open our minds, bodies, and spirits and heart so we can free metabolic load. So wiggle your fingers and your toes and connect your mind, body, spirit. But with that connection, listen. So a few mornings ago, maybe a couple of mornings ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I was waking up, slowly. I wake up slow every morning now. Years ago, when I was living in survival mode, I wasn't waking up so slowly. But anyway, lately, I'm waking up like that. And I don't be fully awake right away. And I'm not fully asleep. I know that I'm just not in the place to be stressing or happy or nothing, just being. So I was just resting in a quiet space between the two worlds, you know? And so as I was breathing deeply, and then I follow it by that exhale, I saw the screen. There's a screen in all of our minds, and you probably think you don't look at it yet, but you'll see it when you're ready. Well, anyway, in the screen of my mind, I saw free metabolic load. And as I got up, I said, metabolic is digesting or processing something. So I sat with myself. See, because metabolism is how our whole system processes life between our food, between our exercises, between what we deal with friends and all of that. That's metabolic, all of it. You got to process this. You got to digest this. So as I was sitting with myself to process free metabolic load, this talk came out, this one here. And the more I sat with it, I realized it wasn't just about the body, like Melissa read in the reading. It wasn't just about weight loss, exercise, running. Should I do any more of this? Should I work real harder? Should I take it? It wasn't about that. It was all about how we carry life. So here's the deal. Some people are exhausted emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically. And so Tuesday in our consciousness meeting, a word came up that said tired. Now, later on, here I go, sitting with myself with that word. And I said, people are not tired because they work hard. They're tired because they never gave themselves permission to fully rest. No. That means that the mind and body are operating on full load of danger is always present. There's always a problem right after that one. If you got to get out of that, right? So they're living in survival mode. Survival mode is not just you worried about things. Survival mode is you always going, well, I can't buy this because I don't have that, and I can't have this. You're always surviving. Oh, I better switch to Apple, and I'll get what's cheaper than an Apple. That's survival mode. Fear. No trust in your own life. No trust in the way you live. See, they're living in survival mode with chronic tension, shallow breathing. I think 20 times a day, I stop and do deep breathing, 10 of them. It's like a medicine to me now. Because this way, that chronic tension, that shallow breathing, and all that rushing and overthinking calms down. I don't have to work all that hard. It doesn't have to be that hard, right? And see, the problem is with people that live in survival mode, even peace feels uncomfortable for them because their system has adopted to a stress chemistry. Got to let that go. See, survival mode is not just about their trauma or their emergencies. It has become their lifestyle now. Oh, I'm so used to this. Okay. I like this. This is what your body's saying. It's not whether it's good or not for you or not, is what you're doing, right? Let's just go there with me for a minute. So many people don't really realize that they are living in survival mode because it became so normalized to them in their system. You see this chemistry here that I'm talking about? So people are carrying grief, worry, over caution. Oh, wait, make sure you don't buy that today. So you're telling yourself all these crazy things when you could just say, I want it, I'll buy it. Then fear sets in when you start tripping out like that. Then you got into overcommitment because now you're not sure how to do this yet. And unresolved, Melissa said it in the reading, unresolved pain. These things are so important. Forgiveness is a spiritual practice. Self-forgiveness is a spiritual practice. Sitting with yourself is a big one. But you can't get past all of that without being with you. So they're carrying this constant urgency and years of tension, and their body never learned how to release that tension. After a while, their mind-body system starts paying that bill. The nervous system starts to adapt to what they're carrying every day and says, okay, this is your load. This is what you want. This is your load. You hear me? You're not metabolizing that load. You're just keeping it. All that weight, right? The muscles tighten. The breath shortens. The mind is racing. and you swear you're relaxing. But here's the thing, all of this causes more illnesses in the body than the law allows. Sleep becomes shallow. Peace feels unfamiliar. I remember our first night, and that showed me right there that our group, when they did that the first class, and I just said, we just want to sit. I felt their energy like, I don't want to do this. This is like, it was uncomfortable for them. And many people don't realize why. But you know what? That second and third class, they got it. They knew it was up to them. If it is to be, it's up to me. I lived in survival mode for so long that it became a normal for me too. 10, 20 years ago. So I took classes and I had some coaching and I got out of that survival mode. People throughout your lives from childhood, you're taught how to work hard and achieve, but they didn't know how to teach you how to recover. So, but you better learn now because you want to take this on up. You want to go out backwards? You don't want to do that. You have to recover. So I teach recover in my classes, especially when I do my yin classes, because we end up in meditation. But we do a movement for the body. But instead of teaching how to push hard and how much can you do with your body, no, I teach how to let it soften and how to come home to the self while you're moving consciously. People think they're failing spiritually because they can't just let it go. You heard that in the reading too. It's the truth is they just don't know how. But classes and practice and coaching, all of this stuff happens. And I know you hear spiritual practitioner sessions and you think it's the same as this, or you think it's the same as a class. No, that's totally personal. So everybody that I work with personally, they really elevate because now they're getting every little piece of them picked on, not just this big generalized thing. But it still can be done with some people, but don't worry about it. That's why we have classes. Everything you know has come from some form of class as a child, right? Yeah, first grade, you learn how to write. They just didn't teach you how to control your mind. They didn't teach you how to control your emotions. They just let you fall out and scream and have tantrums on the floor and yell at you for doing it. Okay, but that's all they knew. But everything you learned came from classes. So I would like to offer you the idea. Start going to some of these classes that are offered. You're not going to learn 100% in all of this by just sailing. You're going to get a lot of happiness. Yeah, that sounds good today. But are you going to be able to sustain? That's what you do. Classes and practice. And someone one-on-one helping you. See, you need to practice self-awareness and learn about yourself. See, once you practice self-awareness and learn about yourself, that changes everything. The mind either digests, which means metabolizes, right? It either digests, metabolizes all these thoughts and experiences and emotions as they come in, or it just doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't digest or metabolize it. And what it can't process, you know what? When it can't process something, it becomes worry, tension, or emotional residue. That's the stuff you can't get rid of that I mentioned. You know how I was saying a little bit a while ago, a lot of people have uncovered things going in them. Well, you have to work on that. But see, if you don't, that's just mental metabolic load that you have to free yourself of. So letting go of that metabolic load, it frees that internal resistance in you. so that you can stop carrying what's going to happen tomorrow while you're still in today. Enjoy today. The body metabolizes food and exercises and changes it into energy. If you don't have enough carbs, protein, and fats, you got not enough to metabolize, or certain parts of your body is working extra hard to keep up, and you breaking down other parts, and those organs are vital to us. You can't starve them. Oh, and you can't starve the brain. I just told my sister that yesterday when she was saying, yeah, I know, I don't eat a lot of bread because it's carb. I said, you better eat those carbs and you better eat that fat, because that stuff is not here for nothing. You just have to know how much your body needs. I'll do it for you. I'll tell you exactly what you need every day. And I just do it by your height, weight, and age. And it works. Everybody says, got it. I feel it. I got it. I know exactly how to eat and what to eat now. The body, hear me again, metabolizes food, exercise, and turns it into energy. But guess what else? Spiritual practice is the same thing. It's a metabolizing system too. It's a metabolic system as well. So the nervous system processes through signals of safety or threat. And see, the nervous system has two parts to it. It has the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So if there's a threat, you're responding out of the sympathetic nervous system. That's survival mode. But if it's safety and you've created that safety, it's the parasympathetic place that you're coming from. And now you're acting out in a different way. And I'll tell you about that way in a minute. But this is a good way. But this is the way if you want to keep the whole body metabolizing cleanly. Spirit processes itself. Now, spirit is the oneness with us. So it processes through meaning, alignment, and awareness. Now, when we become aware of all of that, now our oneness with spirit is connected and we're in it. But here's what happens. When we begin to learn calmness, we have to understand it's a learning process just as much as flashing out and yelling out at people. That's a learned process too. So we have to allow the body to stop defending itself against life and learn calmness. And if that takes, is what it took, that whole eight weeks of classes to get you to see that, oh, sitting ain't so bad. It's better than the alternative. People have been in survival mode so long that peace feels unfamiliar. Silence is so uncomfortable. There's certain people that I can sit around and I just want to be quiet. And they can sit around just the same way. In the same room, we could sit here and be quiet because we know that in the silence, there can be peace. But some people, oh my God, are you mad at me? Or whatever, they can't do it. Stillness is not unsafe. It could be safety. So what happens when people don't allow themselves to sit and feel that silence? They get so edgy. And guess what? When they start to try to learn how to breathe deeply, it's unnatural for them because they were in that survival mode for so many years. But still, the body is always whispering. The body whispers to us 24/7. The breath whispers to us. Our muscles are whispering to us. Digestion is whispering to us. Our quality of sleep is whispering to us. And your level of fatigue is whispering too. But all of those whispers, let me tell you about those whispers. The body, Melissa said that in the reading, the body whispers long before it screams. And when that body screams, boy, look out. That's from not paying attention. not being aware. When dis-ease attacks your body, it has been a long time coming. It did not happen overnight. Death does not happen overnight. Sickness does not just happen overnight. Neither does wellness, neither does health, neither does anything else. Never, none of this comes out overnight. You just have to listen to the whispers. They're saying, go. What if healing begins by carrying less of your trauma, less fear, less internal conflict? You want to make a decision, but can't do it like that because that's internal conflict. That's emotional debt that the body is paying every single day for. But letting the body free its metabolic load daily with those 10 breaths, that's one set. That's one thing you could do to free metabolic load. Remember that breath 10 times a day. If you can do it, 10 each session, not just one breath. Oh, yeah, I'm breathe. Okay, I'm good. No, 10 of those. It'll shake your whole system down. It'll shake all of your blood sugar levels, your blood pressure, all of your fluids, 10, 20 times a day, maybe. That breath, I do this. I teach this. Breathe in 4, hold for 2 seconds, 8 seconds out. So let's do that real quick. Let's just show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 2, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a part of freeing your metabolic load. The body keeps paying interest on that emotional debt that the mind never resolved if you don't. You have to practice to do that. Free metabolic load means free the whole mind, body, spirit system by consistently sitting with yourself. Metabolic load is the weight of what we're trying to process. And you can't process all of that stuff all the time without free bit by bit. So when the load stays heavy for days and days and days, the body pays dearly. So, because listen, breathing, thinking, did you know? Thinking, digesting, healing, regulating your emotions, and staying alert, all of that uses energy. You need enough food, exercise, spiritual practice, and all of that in your entire system so you can begin to free metabolic load. So when the cost gets too high, the system gets overloaded. And then what? Then what? Well, we can metabolize life differently. We can. Just start with conscious breathing, relaxation, and bodily movement. Every day somewhere, if I'm here at 1:30, because it's a thing about the circadian clock that I know for a fact through science. But if I'm here at 1:30, that time is me. I'm going to be down here on my back with all the nervous system and my meditation, and my feet are going to be over the edge of the couch. And I'm going to stay there for 20 seconds, no more, no less, because that's the time that the body gets to metabolize differently. So the breathing, the relaxing, and just holding that. Consistently, I'm going to do that, and I do it. See, practices like that help us to recover from all of that past trauma that we keep saying, I remember this happened to me. Well, let it go. Oh, I don't know how. Well, this is how, I'm telling you. Practices like meditation, forgiveness, setting boundaries. Oh, you just let everybody do whatever they want to do to you? Who do you think processes that one? Rest, mindfulness, spiritual practice, all of that are solutions. And they help you to learn how to integrate that mind, body, spirit together so that you can finally start to feel safe. And see, when you start to feel safe, that's no longer survival mode. That is restorative presence. That's the opposite of survival mode. Sitting in our oneness with spirit restores us. Restorative presence, remember that, is a state where the body softens, awareness returns, and the system feels safer. And just me talking about that takes a load off of me. My mind becomes less reactive, and you become present instead of bracing for what's next, watching for the other shoe to drop. We don't have to do that. Restorative presence is breathing mindfully, moving, sitting with yourself, and being emotionally aware of what's going on inside of you. Friday, I was doing a class about that. Every time I finish, I say, feel your body. People got it now. Repetition is the mother skill. Keep hearing it. They start to get into that restorative presence by allowing themselves to be present with the body, and no longer do they feel defensive every second about something. In these two contrasts between survival mode and restorative presence, you probably was listening to these two things and said, wow, I recognize that. I recognize this in myself immediately, right? So what did you recognize in yourself? Maybe you said, oh, wow, see, and I thought I was just being responsible, but I've actually been living in survival mode all this time. So when you inhale deeply and you pause and you let that slow exhale go, something releases honestly, gradually, and consistently. Healing is learning new patterns. And this is the reading too. I love it because I wanted the whole thing to give you these ideas again. See, these new patterns that Melissa was reading about was about that new relationship now with your mind, body, spirit system. And that's what healing is all about. Healing is learning these new patterns. So that restorative presence that we have is learning how to carry life without carrying all that unnecessary suffering, right? So today, I'm going to ask you to ask you, I'm going to ask you to ask you, what load have I normalized? Which one of those loads have you normalized? Here's another one. What tension have I mistaken for strength? Because a lot of people think, oh, I got this. I got this. I can do this. I got 2 bachelor's degrees, and it's stuff like that. I got it. No, it's not even on the logical side. It's nowhere near on the logical side. How about asking yourself this? What exhaustion have I accepted as my identity? Hold it. What exhaustion have I accepted as my identity? Now, Houston, we got to think about that. You can ask that. And here's another thing. I keep talking about possibility, potential, and all that. But what is possible if I finally gave my system permission to rest Got them? Let that land. Because none of that has anything to do with you quitting or withdrawing just because you sit with yourself. For me, it's simply me where I have stopped carrying what no longer serves me. If wondering and worrying and being concerned about whether somebody's going to show up or be somewhere with me, that don't serve me. I stopped carrying that. I released some of the weight I'd been carrying so all throughout the years. And the truth is, when the load is lighter, our oneness with spirit comes alive. Freedom begins the moment we stop metabolizing life in fear. Stop metabolizing life in fear and start pondering about being better than that, conquering survival mode. So start pondering, how can I conquer? How can I be a conqueror? And that's how spirit whispered to me that morning, because it knew I was ready for that. See, your oneness with spirit is only going to give you what you're ready for. And if you're practicing, you're going to get tougher and tougher things, and it's going to be so nice because you're going to say, oh, I understand that. Whoa. So that's why I got that big, beautiful whisper on the screen of my mind, free metabolic load. This written right across the screen of my mind. It was telling me right then and there, free the body, free the mind, and free the spirit. That, ladies and gentlemen, is restorative presence in action. And in that presence, I conquered the survival mode. So, as this song plays, let it remind you not to push harder, but to come alive. You don't have to accept defeat when you face it. You are not defeated, by the way, and never was. That's your whole thing. You're telling yourself because you're still in survival mode. Well, you know what? You can come out of that because you are not done. You are a conqueror. This is beautiful. Like when I first saw those words, free metabolic load, my breath began to return that morning. And I started thinking from that place. And I just keep thinking of how I just want to share everything I hear with all of you. And because we have this donation process where people can help and put in a few, I or myself do put in a lot as well for this to keep us floating, but I'm grateful for that. And metabolic freedom makes makes carrying life forward in this community with ease, because we can release that load off of one person or two people constantly doing all the heavy lifting. And your support keeps this community alive so it can keep supporting you. Because when you give here, you're not just giving to a community, you're investing in your own personal freedom. So when you give today, you're not giving to an organization, you're giving to the energy that lives in this consciousness container. So I ask you, what are you willing to invest in your freedom today? And with that being said, thank you for strengthening how free metabolic load moves through your giving. And thank you for joining us to hear how free metabolic load works in your life. So, guys, as we wrap up our time together, remember this. Remember to free your metabolic load this week. Because when you free the metabolic load, that means you are restoring that presence. You're in the restorative presence mode instead of survival mode. And the oneness with spirit in you, every time you sit together, will help you let go release, be free within that oneness with spirit. And the more consistently you sit, the easier it becomes to live from the freedom instead of the bondage. So that quantum field is always supporting your release and your freedom. Until we meet again, free metabolic load, let go, and let your oneness with spirit carry you all the way forward with your life. And so it is.